Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, there's been a story in the news, and a lot of people have covered it. A lot of news organisations have covered it. The mainstream media's covered it. Everyone. It's one of those stories that affects people, and I haven't covered it deliberately because it's a subject that I absolutely loathe. Not because of what it is. It's because it upsets me. I hate the world that does what happens. And it's the story of Sara Sharif, the little girl who was murdered by her abusive father and wicked stepmother, beaten, broken, damaged, multiple broken bones. It's a horrendous tale. And I haven't done the story, and I'm not going to do the story. It's enough out there, and I'm just talking about it now, I find it upsetting. I absolutely loathe child abuse in any way. But something's happened which I find very disturbing. I find disgusting. And I find to be very, very sinister. And I think that when I explain this to you, you too will find this to be very sinister as well. Because what can only be described as a veil of secrecy has descended over this whole Sara Sharif scandal. The father was a known abuser. The social services were informed, and the school got involved. The police were involved. They all knew this was going on, this abuse was going on. A lot of people did not want to act because they thought, oh, well, look, they're Muslim. Oh, if we act, we'll be racist. So it's okay. At least you're not a racist. I mean, a child is murdered on your watch, but at least you're not racist. Good job. Good job. Now, this is one of those where, lessons will be learned. Well, no, actually it won't, because it happened time and time and time again. There's only one way lessons are ever learnt, and that is that every single person, teacher, social worker, policeman, lawyer, judge, everyone involved in this case is named, shamed, prosecuted, and imprisoned. And that's the only way lessons will be learned. And then it will definitely never happen again. Because why would somebody sign off and hand over a child to an abusive parent when you knew that parent was abusing that child, but were too afraid to do it because racism? Now, the judge that heard the case against the parents has put a gagging order on his colleagues being named. Because you see, in the past, the previous judge made a judgment that allowed Sara Sharif to go and be placed back with the father and stepmother. And a High Court judge yesterday ordered that the previous judge who allowed this to happen could not be named. He put a gagging order, and if anyone names the judge, then that's contempt of court. Now, the fact is that judge, his name is actually in the public domain because that case at the time was heard. And so anyone can actually go along and find the name of that judge. I know the name of that judge. I know the name of the judge that handed over Sara Sharif to her abusive father to be killed. I'm not going to name him, of course, because I don't want to go to prison for contempt of court. However, if someone outside of Britain, a non-British national, was also to go along and have a look at the name of this judge and then post the name of that judge on social media from outside Britain as a non-British subject, of course, that would put that person outside the law. There's nothing that they could do, of course, because it's not that jurisdiction. Now, I mean, very, very much imploring nobody should do this. It's wrong. Do not do it. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying that if you were to do it, you would be, beyond the law, but it wouldn't be right. So please don't do it. Yeah? Don't do that. Please don't do that if you're a foreigner. Don't get that name. Don't put it into the public domain. Don't put it on social media, because the people of Britain must never, ever, ever know who handed that child over to be killed. However, he's gone beyond just protecting his mate, this other judge, this current judge. He's saying that the names of all the social workers should be kept secret permanently. All the medical experts involved in this case should be kept secret permanently. All the guardians involved, all the policemen, and of course that family court judge who made the fateful decision on the day to allow this child to be murdered. I say we should know who these people are, and that they should never ever be involved in childcare again. They're obviously A, not up to the job, and B, complicit in the murder. They enabled the murder. I'm not saying they murdered, but they enabled that murder to happen. And so, yes, they should be named and shamed and prosecuted and fired and never be allowed to work again. Now, this has never ever happened before. No judge has ever done an order like this. And it is actually going through. There are newspapers are appealing this to a higher authority. It's an extraordinary piece of legislation. Nobody can ever see a precedent for it. And so even Keir Starmer's getting involved, and he's saying that questions must be asked about this whole appalling incident and case and decision. And now, Sarah's father was 42. He was convicted. So indeed was the stepmother. They were convicted, was it yesterday or Wednesday? Wednesday, I think. They haven't been given a sentence yet, but it's going to be life, plus extenuating circumstances. The police, the social services, teachers at the school. It turns out that this came out in the court case that there were at least 15 opportunities to save this child. And none of them were taken. And the main reason was racism. They did not want to be accused of being racist by saying, oh, but that child is in danger because the parents are bad, but the parents are Muslim, so they get a free pass, apparently. She suffered what I could only describe as unimaginable horror and ordeal at the hands of these wicked degenerates. They used to bind her arms and legs behind her, put a hood on her, beat her with a baseball bat, a metal pole, or a rolling pin. They strangled her until she went unconscious. They broke her neck, and then they burnt her with an iron, and they bit her. They dumped her body, wrapped in covers. I'm sorry, I'm finding this very difficult. There was over 100 injuries, and the pathologist could not say which one killed her. I can't go on really with the description of this. I'm going to move on. I can't deal with it. But that level of sort of violent attack on a small, vulnerable, helpless child. And if you see the pictures of a pretty young pretty child, and they did that to her. Now, I only hope and pray that those sons, when they get to prison, have the same treatment meted out to them. I want the big, hard men of prisons to do unto him exactly the same as he did to her. And I hope that the stepmother gets a bottling in prison. And that isn't what you think. A bottling in a lady's prison is not something you even want to think about. But banning the press from even talking about the personnel in this horrific case is bang out of order. We need to know every single person, because they will be dealing now. These people will be dealing now with other cases, other children. What we're effectively saying is no child in this country is safe from the authorities, because the authorities not only are allowing this to happen, they're then covering it up. So every child in this country is now unsafe. The establishment of this country are deliberately aiding the murder of children and covering it up. And that's not an exaggeration. That's a fact, because that's exactly what's happened. I'm going to have to stop. I'm getting very, very emotional. Thank you very much for watching.